Hey guys, welcome back to AFK Journey. In today's video, we are talking Alsa and should you be summoning for this character. Now, before we get into anything, as always, it's a game, it's about having fun. If you like the character, go ahead and pull her. Now, I'm going to go through my thoughts on her in every aspect of the game, being PvE, which is like AFK stage pushing and stuff like that, then into bossing and also in PvP as well, and go through a big roundup of my general thoughts on her. Now, the TLDR of what I think she is a nice luxury unit. Keyword being luxury. I don't think she is a needed unit. I don't think she, and once again, this is still super early, but I've done a bunch of testing. I've spoken to many people who have also done a bunch of testing to get their thoughts on different ranges from one copy, which I don't think is worth it, Mythic Plus and Supreme Plus, and that is what I am basing this on. If something does get found out that changes any of this, I will update you guys, but my general recommendation is for free to play especially, that she is one that you can safely skip. Now, the great thing about recommending to skip is it is a safer play, because if someone finds some broken strategy, which I think there is like a hidden strategy that could be found out there for her to make her busted, and I'll explain that when we talk about bossing, but if someone finds a strategy to make her actually work, then we can always just revise this and go, hey guys, if you have been saving, maybe you do want to pull for it. But in general, I feel like she's kind of on the level of Florabelle when she dropped, where when Florabelle came, like I said, she was like just a well-balanced unit. And I feel like that is the same with Alsa, but I don't see any like need to pull her and must have her for your account. There could be things that change. For instance, in the future, as we get more units, I think she has viability to synergize well with units in the future. We've obviously got Soren coming, but I don't know how good that synergy is going to be. The thing that I'm thinking is, like, if we get a character that does a really quick AoE stun on the enemy team, maybe like a character that like, maybe it's like stuns passive at the start of battle, stuns the whole enemy team for 0.5 seconds. That would be good enough to get Elsa's rocks on them all and deal massive AoE damage at like the start of a PvP match. So something like that could definitely come, and that would increase her viability in certain areas. Likewise, there could be a control effect that could be applied to a boss, which would then amplify her damage way further, which I'll talk about when we get into bossing. But at this stage, I think she is a safe one to skip. But once again, if you do pull for her, she's not like a horrible unit that's going to have no use at all. She is just like a well-balanced unit. That is my initial take. Once again, if that changes, I will update you, but let's go through why. So when we take a look at, and the first thing I want to talk about is bossing. Now, I'm over here on Antilla from Pridewind's account. He's been kind enough to let me on, but he's asked us to save the attacks just because he is trying to push for ranks over here. But essentially, when we take a look at her in bossing, I haven't seen her in the last 2 days rank in top teams for bossing, but we are actually going through a very big shift in bossing that I will have to keep testing and look at in a different one. We've got new artifacts, one which actually has, we've got different ones with physical def and magic def shred. We've got the bosses that have changed, so now their damage reduction is higher, but their damage reduction is higher, and they've changed the scaling on the defenses. So it's kind of like they've weakened the ignore defense damage, or the true damage. So it's kind of like a nerf to Corrin and Merrily. I'm going to do some more testing on this as the bosses come out, and I will get back to you guys on that one, because I think that is a big change that we will have to address in general. But like I said, Alsa, she has reasonable damage. It's not horrible, but I haven't seen her be like top tier in the 2 bosses that we've had, and also the bosses on the classic, the non-season boss testing that I've seen people do who are on later servers. So that's where we're looking at bossing. The one thing with bossing, like I mentioned, if we go ahead and we take a look at Alsa, she basically loses a whole portion of her kit in a boss fight because we can't control the boss. So we have this one. Alsa senses the vibrations of the ley lines, locate enemies affected by control effects, and then forms and drops rocks on them, dealing damage. Then we have her Supreme Plus ability, seasonal. Her Supreme Plus ability, where it deals an extra 180% damage. So this is like the bulk of her like raw damage that she gets to deal, and this does not take effect in bosses. I even went into testing to try and figure out what actually procs this. So I was doing a little bit of testing here with Brutus, and if you jump in here, you can see when Brutus uses his taunt, which is right there, you can see the enemies that taunt get rocks on their head. So I was trying to figure out if you could taunt bosses. I was trying to find any effect that would make these rocks apply on enemy bosses, but I can't find one. And this is one of those things where I say, if someone can find some sort of weird effect from some unique character that counts as a control effect and will make her apply her rocks to a boss, that could take her damage to the next level and make her very meta in bosses. But at the moment, I haven't been able to figure out an effect which will cause that. And that is like her biggest crippling thing in bosses. If she had access to her full kit, maybe she could be meta in bosses. But at the moment, from what I'm seeing damage-wise, I don't think she is. Next, I want to talk about her in PvE, AFK stage pushing, whatever you want to call it, these types of teams. Now, she does complement the Iran Carolina team well. From what I'm seeing of people testing at the higher deficits is that she is hard to slot into this specific team, which is the Thorin, Carolina, Iran, Damien, and Arden. Damien and Arden are both really clutch in what they have the capacity to do. So removing one of these is a bit awkward, and you kind of don't want to remove the Carolina as well. Now, I do think she will, at a bit lower deficit, probably speed things up in this. But once you get to higher deficits where enemies are tougher, that's going to take a bit more testing, but I don't know if she's going to be like the number one pick in this team, just because this team, Damien, when you get to high deficits, Thorin, like he has such clutch survivability for Thorin with that big heal that he pops off, and on top of that, you get the haste through him. Arden has the extra control, but also the extra consistent damage that we can deal. Carolina obviously has the consistent damage, and Iran's the one that groups them all together and makes it happen. Now, we do have this other artifact as well, which is you charge it up. Wait, can I see the yeah, you can't see it, but it charges the magic damage based on magic damage dealt. So if you do chuck her in this team, like you could charge this a little bit quicker. Maybe even you could try it like this at lower deficits. But once again, maybe niche situations, these kind of different things will work. But I still think the core team of the Iran plus Thorin, Carolina, Damien, and Arden is really solid. But once again, it's like, when you look at it, even if she was quote-unquote best in this team, the existing team is still good enough that I don't think it's worth putting all that investment into Alsa just to add her into this team. Now, I do think there is potential for her to have other teams in the future that she really works in, but let's just go ahead and take a look at something like this. So once again, we're not at a crazy deficit at the moment, so we're going to go ahead and do the group. You can see all the rocks come on their heads because it is considered a control effect, that grouping. Iran is now down, Alsa is now down because she's jumped in. So yeah, you're not really going to do it with that kind of comp. So let's go ahead and drop, let's drop Arden, let's say, and let's do it like this, and let's put, where's Thorin? And we'll probably link Thorin to her so that if she jumps in, she doesn't completely kill herself. But the other problem is that she's so suicidal after her first ult. It's like she just wants herself to die. So there she goes, she jumps into the middle, and she bounced out. Okay, that time she actually bounced out, which is fantastic. So now you can see we're doing some damage, she's going a bit slower. She does have that initial burst, but as you can see, those rocks at the very start, they didn't do a ton of damage. Like it's not like in PvP, which we'll talk about, where those rocks can do like insane damage. So that's the kind of awkward thing about it. So let's go ahead and swap this back up, and let's put the Arden team back in. Let's take a look at this. So actually, for this team, we might want to swap that out, but we might change the artifact over. Because it does take us a fair bit to charge the artifact on this one. But here we go, we get the group. And as you can see, it just, dude, Arden even died in that one super early, so, so who knows. But once again, it's just like, I don't think she's game breaking to the point where she makes the team and like you must have her for that specific reason. Okay, good. That time Arden survived, and you can see how much quicker, how much more efficient that is in that team in both times. Even when the Arden died, you get that extra early control, the genuine control with the roots. I don't know. That's just my general thoughts around PvE with the Iran team. Once again, I do think at low deficit she's going to be fantastic in this team because the rocks provide more throughput. But I think then she turns into being more of a single target until you get the additional CC. If you remove an Arden from that team, your CC goes down. I mean, Iran still technically counts as control every time he uses his ult, so as long as he's surviving, I guess it's okay. But once again, I think she's okay in that team. I think she's like perfectly good, but not worth the summoning for it. Now, the other thing we could look at is something like like running her in the Maulers team. But the problem with the Maulers team, which by standard, you're probably going to look at something like this, and then you're going to put Antandra in there, and then you can put a tank, whether it be like Thorin in that last tanking spot, or like a Brutus. Let's say if we're on 2 team stages, this is what your standard Mauler team is going to look like. Now, the problem with this is you can't really put her in this position here. You can't put her in the front row because she doesn't get her survivability skill until she uses her first ult. So if you go something like this, maybe the Brutus can run up and taunt, but then you're losing a sustainable tank. So, you know, you're in that awkward situation. There she goes, she dies. We're not even in a crazy deficit. So that's the awkward thing about her. So it kind of leads you into needing to run 2 tanks, in which case you're kind of looking at something like this. Now you could do like a few different strats with this, but the problem is with the Mauler team, like Odie is so important for that team. So you don't really want to sacrifice having Odie in the team. Once again, there she goes, she just gets tapped. So you really want to bring that Odie, but then to bring her as well, you're sacrificing the extra sustain and you're not getting like a better win condition than Odie out of it. So that is my thoughts around her in PvE. Once again, this is still early testing, so this may change, but that is just my general thoughts. Good in the Euron team, but not a must-have for it. And kind of clunky in the Mauler team as the way I'm seeing it. But once again, this could definitely change. This is just from early testing and my thoughts around her so far. Now, as we jump into PvP, I do think she has some viability. Daily purchase limit reached. So basically in PvP, I've seen a couple people show me replays of Antilla showed me one of him getting beat actually. I wonder if I can see that replay. Let's go over here. Let's see if we can no, that's not it. The battle log. And I'll see if I can see it. So let's go to this one. Was this the enemy team? No. Ooh. This is one he got beaten with. Okay, so this is with her. Actually, he didn't show me this one. Let's check this. Okay, so he groups up. Dude, these teams just happen so quick. I mean, it's still a Scarlita team, so... But, I mean, that was pretty good Alsa damage. So, PvP is one of those dark horse ones where... On scale of using her on your defense, I'm not too sure how annoying she's going to be and how that's going to function. But in general, I don't know if I'm going to be able to find the replay. But I've seen some people using her with... no, that's not it. Let's have a look here. No, I can't find it. But I've seen some people making use of the... and you can see Antilla using it here. The Sylvina team... Oh, he doesn't even have her in it. Okay, he's just using Sylvina's snipe and to lock someone out. But you can use the Sylvina to put the stun on an enemy that you're trying to focus down, and that will put the rocks on them, and then you can get the extra rock damage. So you can use that little cool combo with her. But once again, I feel like she's more niche in that sense. Now, PvP is one where she can definitely evolve and we can find new teams for her. But at the moment, like I said, that is my general thoughts on her. I think she has room to grow on bosses if she can get a way to put her rocks on them, because that's a majority of her damage. PvE, she's just like finding a niche. Maybe as we get more control units, she has that more viability. Like I said, if you get like a little 0.5 second stun at the start of the battle that goes on all enemies, that would completely change her. And then PvP, I think PvP is an ever-evolving thing, and I guarantee you someone's going to be like, man, she's broken in this PvP team. But for PvP, I want to see her be good in defense, not just offense, because there's a lot of strategies you can use to counter teams, but being good in defense is the key one. So that's going to take a lot more testing to see. Once again, that is, sorry for taking so long. I just wanted to go through all my thoughts on her, but in general, I think she's a well-balanced unit. Once again, I don't think she's a must-pull. I think free-to-play players can safely skip on her, and if that does change, I will update you guys. Me, myself, I am going to skip her. I'm going to save. I'm still waiting for that game-breaking unit that I'm like, if I can instantly save up and instantly get that unit to Supreme Plus, it's going to like break the game for me and make me OP. So that is what I am personally saving for. But that is my thoughts on Alsa. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.